On July 4th, 1776, in the old State House in Philadelphia, a group of patriotic men were gathered for the solemn purpose of proclaiming liberty for the American colonies. From the letters of Thomas Jefferson, which are preserved in the Library of Congress, have been gathered considerable data concerning their portentous session. There were several speeches. In the balcony, patriotic citizens crowded all available space and listened attentively to the proceedings. Jefferson expressed himself with great strength. The Philadelphia printer, Dr. Benjamin Franklin, quiet and calm as usual, spoke his mind with well-chosen words. The delegates hovered between sympathy and uncertainty as the long hours of the summer day crept by. For life is sweet when there's danger of losing it. The lower doors were locked and a guard was posted to prevent interruption. According to Jefferson, it was late in the afternoon before the delegates gathered their courage to the sticking point. The talk was about axes, scaffolds, and the gibbet, when suddenly a strong, powerful voice was heard. Gibbet! They may stretch our necks on all the gibbets of the land. They may turn every rock into a scaffold, every tree into a gallows, every home into a grave. And yet the words of that parchment can never die. They may pour blood on 1,000 scaffolds. And yet with every drop that dies the axe, a new champion of freedom will spring into birth. The British king may blot out the stars of God from the sky, but he cannot blot out his words written on that parchment. The works of God may perish. Its words, never. The words of this declaration will live in the world long after our bones are dust. To the mechanic in his workshop, they will speak hope. To the slave in the mine, freedom. But to the coward kings, these words will speak in tones of warning. They could not choose but hear. Sign that parchment. If in the next minute the halls ring with the clash of falling swords, sign for all your hope in life or death, as men, as husbands, as fathers, brothers, sign your names to that parchment, or be accursed forever. Sign, and not only for yourselves, but for all ages. For that parchment would be the textbook of freedom, the Bible of the rights of free men forever. Nay, do not start and whisper with surprise. It is truth. Your own hearts witness it. God proclaims it. Look at these strange band of exiles and outcasts, suddenly transformed into a people, a handful of men, weak in arms, but mighty in godlike faith. Nay, look at your recent achievements, your Bunker Hill, your Lexington, and then tell me, if you can, that God has not given America to be free. Is it not given to our poor human intellect to cling to the skies, to pierce the counsel of the Almighty One? But methinks I stand among the awful clouds which veil the brightness of God's almighty throne. Methinks I see the recording angel come trembling up to that throne and speak his dread message. Father, the old world is baptized in blood. Father, look with one glance at thy internal eye. Behold evermore that terrible sight, man trodden beneath the oppressor's feet, nations lost in blood, murder, and superstition. walking hand in hand over the graves of the victims, and not a single voice of hope to man. He stands there, the angel, trembling with a record of human guilt. But hark, the voice of God speaks from out the awful cloud. Let there be light again. Tell my people to pour on the press, to go out from the old world, from oppression and blood, and build my altar in the new. As I live, my friends, I believe that to be his voice. Yes, my soul trembling on the verge of eternity, where this hand freezing in death, where this voice choking in the last struggle, I was still with the last impulse of that soul, with the last wave of that hand, with the last gasp of that voice, implore you to remember this truth. God has given America to be free. Yes, as I sing into the gloomy shadows of the grave, with my last faint whisper, I beg you to sign that parchment. For the sake of those millions whose very breath is now hushed in intense expectation, as they look up to you for those eternal words, you are free. The delegates, carried away with the enthusiasm of the unknown speaker, rushed forward. John Hancock scarcely had time to hold a pen to write his signature before the quill pen was grasped by another. It was done. The delegates turned to express their gratitude to the unknown speaker for his elegant words. He was not there. Who was the strange man who seemed to speak with a divine authority, whose solemn words gave courage to the doubters and sealed the destiny of a new nation? Unfortunately, no one knows. His name is not recorded. None of those present knew him, or if they did, not one acknowledged his acquaintance. How he had entered the locked and guarded room is not told, nor is there any record of the manner of his departure. No one claimed to have seen him before, and there's no mention of him after this single episode. Only his imperishable speech bears witness to his presence.